you've just entered the greatest chapter in the history of forensic medicine. You're Dr. Watson.
Yes, I am. What works?
A foolproof test for hemoglobin. You realize what this means, of course?
No, I don't. You must be Sherlock Holmes.
It will create a revolution in criminal investigation. Yes, I'm Holmes.
How did you know I was Watson?
Because you've just come back from Afghanistan. How do you do?
How you do? How did you know I'd just come back from Afghanistan?
Well, it's written all over you. The problem has generally been that a man is suspected of a crime months after the crime is committed. Then when they find bloodstains on objects of clothing, they can't be sure if it's blood, mud, or rust stains. But this solves the whole thing, of course.
Oh, of course. Of course. We examined the rooms at 221B Baker Street that afternoon and promptly moved in on the following day. I had, at this point, known Sherlock Holmes for only 24 hours. But the man's fantastic powers of perception, coupled with the almost unpredictable personality I'd ever encountered, kept me in a state of constant surprise when I wasn't being shocked. It was unbelievable, the things he knew and the things he didn't know. Now, really, my dear Holmes, you mean to tell me you didn't know that the Earth moved round the sun?
Really?
But every schoolchild knows that.
Well, now I know it, too. And I shall promptly proceed to forget it.
But why?
Yes, why? Why should I remember it?
Well, because it's a natural phenomenon.
Well, is it important? Does it affect us? If you told me the Earth went round the moon, would it make any possible difference to our way of life?
Well, to put it that way, no.
Then it's useless information, and I shall do my best to forget it. I advise you to do the same.
At times, I thought the man was joking and simply having a bit of fun at my expense. But I soon learned that he was in dead earnest. I also, unknown to him, made a brief classification of the man's knowledge. Literature? Nothing. Philosophy? Nothing. Astronomy? Nothing. Politics? Disinterested. Botany? He knew everything there was to know about poison and absolutely nothing about practical gardening. Chemistry? Profound. Sensational literature? Without question, Sherlock Holmes knew the details of every horror perpetrated in the last 100 years.
In fact, if he hadn't been such a bullhead, it could have gone on for quite some time.
A jailbird, as you put it, makes a perfect murder suspect.
Perfect, Mr. Holmes. And you and Dr. Watson make perfect burglary suspects. When I report your death to the police, they can't possibly blame me for defending the sanctity of my home.
Well done, Watson.
Oh, I could have done a bit better, only it was my bad shoulder.
Quite all right, Watson. Think no more about it.
So that's our murderer?
Yes, the only possible one, of course. Only a man could have struck that blow. Peter died, as you say, within 3 or 4 minutes.
And there was a bobby outside the whole time?
Yes. Crystal clear.
Oh, completely obvious. Well, what do we do now?
What's going on here? Who fired that shot?
Well, we will sit with the good inspector, and with the aid of our evidence, a bit of logic, and a few simple diagrams, we will endeavor to convince him that night follows day and that 1 and 1 inevitably makes 2.
Also present with Inspector Lestrade was Dr. John Watson and a personal friend of the inspector's, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. This is ridiculous. It's fantastic. This isn't the way it happened at all.
This will revolutionize investigation, Watson.
This whole account is a lie.
Fingerprints, Watson. That's the coming thing.
Oh, nonsense. What are you going to do about this?
A bit more research. Here, give me your fingers on this sheet of paper.
Oh, were you going to sit there with these disgusting little smudges and let them get away with this?
Beg your pardon?
Well, I won't. They're going to hear from me. Brilliant Inspector Lestrade, indeed. Why, it took you 3 hours to convince that bonehead. I don't know. Never in mind his eyes behind her. He just said he was innocent.
Huh. I wonder if he got more than a shoulder wound in Afghanistan. Oh.
I say, Holmes, Bentham punched me in the eye. Who was it tweaked my nose?
Well, my dear old chap, it was absolutely imperative that I make certain that the limp, the hat, and the coat were really capable of fooling you.
You?
Yes, I regret to say I not only tweaked your nose, but I also pulled your leg.
Oh! Why?
Come in, Watson. Oh, don't be alarmed, old chap. I don't think this contraption has been fired for centuries.
You could hardly expect me to know that from here, Holmes.
Seems it's working after all.
Dr. Watson summarized the legend for me on the way down, but quite frankly, Mr. Holmes, I would say we're opposed to a devilish mind here.
Holmes, really? I don't know. What on earth do you think you're doing?
A button. At the very least, the very least. Observe, Watson, I've almost torn a button loose.
Oh, so I should think after all those acrobatics. Are you going to sit like that all evening?
Did you knock on the door? It was a knock.
I am inside, Watson, not outside.
Well, it must have been somebody else. Wasn't me. I'm inside, too.
Ah, Inspector. Rather late for Scotland Yard to be up and about, isn't it?
Well, I'm sorry to get you out of bed at this time of night, Mr. Holmes. But not a very pleasant business I've come about either.
Oh, look, I say, my hat.
Dr. Watson.
Holmes, look what this chap's done to it. It's absolutely soaked.
Dr. Watson, do you wish to make a statement? You're not obliged to, but I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used as evidence.
I won't half give this chap a piece of my mind when I catch up with him. I really will. What? What did you... Who'll use what to get... Holmes, what's he talking about?
Dr. Watson, I must question you in connection with the murder of the Honorable Harry Shelton.
Murder? I'll murder him when I catch up with him. What?
Mr. Shelton was found murdered in St. James's Park, and your hat, Dr. Watson, was found beside the body.
Oh, an embarrassing predicament, eh, Watson? Can you explain it?
Well, what do you mean, can I explain it? Well, you know perfectly well how Shelton got my hat. Well, tell the man, tell him.
Straight, how was Shelton murdered?
Stabbed, Mr. Holmes. In the back. And we haven't been able to find a weapon yet.
Any other suspects? I mean, apart from our old friend Watson here?
Well, no, unless footpads did it. I'm sorry, Dr. Watson. That's evidence, you know.
Holmes, will you kindly tell Lestrade how my hat got mixed up in this affair?
Patience, Watson. Patience. Now, go get yourself dressed. We're going to St. James's Park. If you don't mind waiting a moment, Lestrade. Oh, officer, you might keep an eye on Dr. Watson while he dresses. You never know. He may try and get out through the window.
Well, and this is a fine example of British justice. A fella comes and pinches your hat and you accuse me of murdering him to get it back. I've never heard of such a thing in my life. I think of all the cups of tea you've had free with us. It makes me happy. Holmes, see who that is, will you? I'm in the tub. Holmes! Holmes, are you there? Oh, confound that fellow. He might be say when he's going out. Just a minute, I'll be right with you. Hey,
A gang will be here any minute. Yeah, you better get the instruments ready.
Instruments? What are you talking?
Yes, the surgicals, the forceps and all that lark. Poor old squirrel got a bullet in the arm.
What?
In the arm.
Squirrel?
Yes, you know, squirrel. Mousy looking fellow with a long sight. Huh? What was with us in Liverpool when we did that safe in that pickle factory?
Squirrel? Pickle factory? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you trying to squeeze out of the gang, Doc, because if you are, you're going to be knocked off just like that. Now, you look here. I'll give you till I count 3 to get out of that door, or I'll throw you and your squirrel into the street. Now, listen, Doc. Is this 221B Baker Street, or ain't it?
Yes.
And are you Doc Watson, or ain't you?
Yes.
And you're the bloke. All right, you asked for it. I'm off it, Doc. There's probably the rest of the gang.
Well, of course, Watson. I knew Betty was in danger when Durham mentioned Marino. I met him before and knew he wasn't a doctor, but a charlatan. Tell me, Watson, how did Betty take the news of Jimmy's death?
It came as a terrible shock to her, I'm afraid. Poor girl broke down completely.
Well, she's young. She'll recover. And youth has a way of overcoming tragedy. Oh, confound it. I completely forgot that I soaped this bow. It'll be days before I can play again.
Really? A wonderful invention, soap. Has so many uses.
Someone told me that you work with a complete discretion.
Oh, you can be assured of that.